Valorant got its official announce, coronavirus impacts, and Half-Life Alyx. Let's talk. What up, viewers? What up? What up? Today is Friday, March 6th, and that means it's time for a quick recap of the week in video game news. Like I said in the cold open, Valorant had its official announce Tuesday this week. I believe it was Tuesday this week, and so it was leaked last week, and so I don't know if that spurred a response for Riot to actually come out, or if it leaked because it was about to be announced. Anyway, the game looks. There's a lot of details about it. The game looks a lot like Counter-Strike plus Overwatch, which is kind of, I think, what they're going for with who they're targeting, like PC gamers, kind of a Twitch shooter feel. They definitely were running around with their knives out, so they were definitely targeting the Counter-Strike group. And then they had a couple abilities that were kind of understated, but they talked about the 8 characters that are coming to the game. They talked about when it's going to be releasing. It's going to release in summer, whatever that means. I know in the video game industry that means anywhere between May and September usually. But so not a very limited window yet, but the game looked playable at least. Hopefully they polish it up a little bit because it looked a little behind the times, especially some of we saw about a single like round of a game, so we didn't see much gameplay. They talked about their guns, and their guns looked a little basic, which is kind of like the Counter-Strike way as well. There wasn't like personalized guns. The characters had like 1 or 2 abilities that kind of come into play, but not very relevant. It's not like you're playing an entire character like you are in Overwatch, where you get like a look and a feel and everyone feels different. It's definitely like you're a CSGO person, and then you get like a Destiny kind of ability once every minute or so, something like that. So I can definitely see that they're going for the Counter-Strike community. Most of their fans are playing on PC, so I can kind of get why they're going for that. And I don't know if this is a good tactic for a tactical shooter, but that's what they're going for. So I'm still kind of holding out on whether or not I think this is a good game. I don't play on PC very much. Actually, I'm currently playing a lot on PC, but that's besides the point. So yeah, I don't know if the leak spurred the announce, or if the announce was coming and so there was leaks slightly prior to announce. But yeah, let me know what you think down below about Valorant. Lots of news coming out about the coronavirus, and it's definitely impacting the video game industry. GDC was postponed, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago, or over the course of the past 2 or 3 weeks. Big companies, big publishers were dropping out of GDC due to concerns about, large international conventions. And so Microsoft and Sony pulled out, and then now GDC started losing so much attendance that people are that the entire thing is postponed till again summer, which I think is kind of a weird time frame to be aiming for, because you have E3, you've got Gamescom, you've got a couple other very big, you got Comic-Con, you got very big things that happen typically in summer across the gaming in general culture. And so to push GDC out to that time frame might signal maybe it's not happening this year. But I have seen a couple of the stories about indie devs who have already have non-refundable tickets, and so they might still go out in March and try and make connections any way they can. But besides GDC, E3, the ESA has come forth and said that they are still moving forward, even though the city of Los Angeles has declared a state of emergency. So the ESA still is marching forward with E3, even though a couple more people have fallen out. I don't know if those were related to the coronavirus or not, but E3 is slowly losing more and more people. So let me know if you're going to be at E3 or what you think of these big companies pulling out of large-scale conventions, which health is always the number one thing. So any health concerns are definitely valid, and I can totally understand people not people not traveling or going during this time, especially living in LA. I live in LA, and the state of emergency, kind of got a couple of us freaked out. So, you know, definitely something to keep an eye on, and it is definitely impacting the games industry. A lot of any shipping that's coming from China is also being delayed. So, will this have an impact on next gen consoles? It's looking like it's probably likely, as they're probably producing them right about now in order to get ready for holiday. So, yeah, big impact coronavirus is having on the world in general, as well as on the gaming industry as a whole. Moving right along, we got HalfLife Alyx. I think I wanted to say Alexis in my cold open, but HalfLife Alyx had a nice game, like 5 minutes of gameplay that I saw. It has so HalfLife Alyx has the teleport kind of movement in VR games. So I always rank VR games from top to bottom as by like their movement type. Not as like a better or worse, but just there's 4 different types of movement in VR games, and they have the teleportation type, kind of like in Fallout 4. Fallout 4 has like a teleportation type movement. So the top of the list, you have full range movement. You're like using a controller, and then these are the rank by my preference. I'd rather move around. I have my own control over how I move around. Teleportation is the second highest, and then you have like on rails, and then you have stationary. And so those are kind of how I rank my favorite types of VR movement. But Half-Life Alyx has the teleportation type, and they and showed a lot of really cool gameplay. It showed the mix between combat as well as like a little bit of narrative stuff. So it's definitely looking to be a fully functioning VR game. I can't believe it's already going to be out in like 2 or 3 weeks. So I'm kind of excited for this, but I don't have a VR rig, so I got to find someone who does so I can kind of play this game, because Valve is already talking about the next Half-Life game, and Alyx not being like a cap on the previous ones, but actually a fruition into more Half-Life games. Half-Life Alyx comes out March 23rd. Bleeding Edge GameSpot. I always get those mixed up. GameSpot has a semi review of after playing about 2 hours of Bleeding Edge, Ninja Theory's new MOBA shooter kind of game. It's I don't know, and like all of a sudden I was sitting there watching gameplay, and I'm like, is this a MOBA or is this Overwatch? Is Overwatch a MOBA? And is someone's job, who it is like mine, to like kind of put games in genres and start classifying games as competitive and non-competitive to other games? I was just sitting there going, oh god, genre classification is so hard nowadays. But looked mostly multiplayer, third person, a lot of melee, but there was some shooting. And this is kind of their take on the like tactical, character-based action shooter game. So they had a review. They said that the character roles didn't feel very fleshed out, or it took a long time to get used to what characters do what role. But I saw the animations look really cool. The gameplay looks pretty fun, and I'm a big Ninja Theory fan, so I'm looking forward to possibly playing this sometime soon. Ghost of Tsushima, the Sony exclusive that is coming out this year, was originally deemed as summer, and now we know what summer means to Sony, and that is June 26th. They have an official release. There was a trailer that kind of showed off a little bit of the game as well. We got a huge amount of gameplay back in 2018, and we haven't seen very much of it since, but we knew that it was coming out. We were kind of expecting a Video Game Awards thing, or anything to happen, but Sony's not going to be at E3. They're not doing PSX. They're not doing, maybe they're doing a state of play before Ghost of Tsushima come out. But yeah, the game's coming out on June 26th, and it looks like a lot of fun. Kind of Soulsy, but more towards like Ninja Gaiden kind of gameplay. That's what I think you can expect from that game. The blandly named New World is Amazon Game Studios' MMO, and we've known about that for a little while. We got a little bit more detail this week. The MMO is not going to be free to play. It's going to be a $40 price point, and then you're going to be able to play with 1,000 people on a single server. And there's going to be like there's island control as well as your typical RPG stuff, and there's going to be mages and classes and magic and all that, and you're going to vie for control over this island against people on your server. So again, I think the name is kind of bland. I don't think a lot of people know what this is, but I've seen trailers for it on Twitch as well as on YouTube and a couple other platforms. So Amazon's definitely marketing this, but New World is kind of a bland enough name that you might not remember that I'm even talking about a game that's coming from Amazon and that it's an MMO. Most of the time when I see a trailer, I'm like, what was that for again? What was the name of that game? So, I think they've got an uphill climb ahead of them. Saw an article this week, had a deep dive kind of explainer of the timeline for GeForce Now. Another company has pulled out of GeForce Now, the company behind Long Dark. Bethesda and Activision already talked about it, or already explained why they aren't in it. The Long Dark devs kind of said, "Hey, we didn't know that our game would be part of this service." And I think after reading the article, I got a little bit of a sense of like they made a subscription service out of their service, and they didn't know that their games would be part of this subscription service. And so now it's starting to look like it really is NVIDIA's fault for like packaging all these games and having access to this platform and charging for it without the consent of the publishers or developers, which is very interesting from what I remember of it. So I'm not explaining it all very well. I'll have a link down below in the description about what, if you want to get caught up on what GeForce Now is and why you're hearing about it a lot more recently, even though it's been worked on for like 6 years, there will be a link in that below. The hipster in me got very excited this week as Red Dead Redemption 2 got a vinyl soundtrack that was up for sale with clear vinyl, which I think is a weird thing. But hey, it's also very cool and the soundtrack. I was trying to think of like, do I really like the Red Dead Redemption 2 soundtrack? And I remember there being a couple good songs with like lyrics, and they had the really like southern bluesy vibe that I really liked. But it was like 1 or 2 songs, and so I don't know if that's enough to justify a vinyl soundtrack buy. But I am definitely a vinyl fan because hipster millennial stuff. But and I did like a couple songs from Red Dead Redemption 2. So if you're into both of those, no judgment. Feel free to pick those up. There's be a link down in the description below. Let me know what it sounds like on vinyl. What the Red Dead Redemption 2 soundtrack sounds like on vinyl. Saw an awesome gaming company, accessory building company. They're a Japanese company that is working on a gaming bed, and it was a bunch of accessories. Like you can fit your desk over like the foot of the bed, and then they had like a bunch of accessories to go along with it, like a small stand that sits next to your bed. That's where all your games would go. And they had like a keyboard stand, and then they had like the PC arms. I think a lot of it seemed like stuff you could do by yourself if you're very creative and into that. They were mostly selling accessories. One of the best things that I saw was like this giant back pillow, and I bought a bunch of giant back pillows for gaming, but still trying to be seated up in my bed, and none of those have worked in the past. So maybe I'll pick up this new gaming bed, but the accessories look cool. And if I were a single man and had a twin bed that I was playing my games in all the time, this would definitely be something for me. But I'm not in that phase of my life anymore. And again, no judgment on those who have that opportunity, because it sounds like a cool opportunity. We're living in the future. Anyway, moving right along, there's a new Amnesia game coming out, and so for those of you who don't know, there was a game about 6 years ago, I think, was called Amnesia, or it was called Amnesia Dark Descent. I remember playing it in college, so maybe it was like 8 or 10 years ago. But it was called Amnesia Dark Descent, and it was like one of the gripping best first-person horror games, and it was very puzzly. It felt a lot like like Myst, like first person puzzly, but it also had this horror element, and you had these Cthulhu, psychology or psychological damage, and you were afraid of the shadows, and like your psychosis would start acting up, and you'd start hearing things. It was a really cool game, and now they are now the company behind Amnesia, which I'm probably gonna get this wrong, but is like Frictional Games, I believe. They are making a second one, and I'm really excited about it. Yeah, I remember playing the first one and loving it a lot. And so hopefully, and it's coming out this year. They said autumn. So from what I know about the games industry, autumn means anywhere between August and October. I'm definitely hoping to play this game in Spooktober with a bunch of people. Hopefully on console because it is coming out for PC and PS4. That'll be a great game to like have my friends around. Some one person piloting and playing through and getting creeped out with a bunch of other people. So could be a good game for that. Last but certainly not least, and no pun intended, The Last of Us is coming to HBO. So Naughty Dog's post-apocalyptic, amazing storytelling game has now been picked up as an HBO show. So I'm super excited about this, but they just announced this week that like the game it's in development. The writer is the same writer for the Borderlands movie, I think. And all of this is coming on the back of Naughty Dog working on their Uncharted movie. I'm seeing a lot of articles about their Uncharted movie. So Naughty Dog's really working on getting their IP out there in different mediums. And now Last of Us is going to be an HBO show. So looking forward to seeing that. Whew, that was a lot, but thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy this content. If you do, follow, like, and subscribe to me on YouTube. I appreciate all the comments that I've gotten over the last couple of weeks, people trying to engage with me. Keep them coming. I really enjoy reading and talking to you people online. If you like this, links down below in the description to see more great content like this. Thanks again. Hope you have a super day. I hope you have a super weekend. And I hope you have a super day. Bye!